Welcome to the Doo Diva Smells Like Money podcast. I'm your host, Suzan Chin-Taylor, CEO and founder of Creative Raven, the firm that helps wastewater industry contractors and manufacturers unlock the power of digital marketing, AI, and PR to boost sales and opportunities. Whether it's through our online marketing and lead generation programs or providing a fully outsourced marketing department, we are passionate about helping businesses in the wastewater and civil infrastructure sectors not just survive, but thrive in today's digital world. Each episode, I'll be bringing you expert tips and strategies to help you grow and succeed. Let's dive in. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Doo Diva Smells Like Money podcast. We are continuing our visit with Jeff Jones, who is the Director of Sales and Marketing of Violand, that is a consultant for the skilled trades business. And I'm going to let Jeff give us a little background on the company and what they provide to the fine folks of this industry we all share, and why I want, and then you'll have an understanding of why I wanted to bring him on the show for this segment of the audience. And I think we can all get a lot out of what we've talked about in the last two episodes. But this third and final installment is really going to be a subject that is near and dear to my heart as a marketer, as a storyteller, as a PR specialist in the industry, and that is branding and differentiation. And so with that, welcome back, Jeff. And so glad to, be able to continue this, one after another podcast episode taping. So thank you for hanging in there with me and keeping this energy going.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on. It's been a lot of fun. This is a great job that you do. You make this very easy. So thank you, Suzanne.
Oh, you're most welcome. I would say it's a labor of love for me. And as you can tell, I really love what I'm doing. So again, to recap, just tell us a little bit about, Violand and what you all do there and how you help the skilled trades.
Yeah, thank you. So Violand Management, we work all over the country. We have clients and customers throughout the United States, Canada, and Australia. We work only with trades. That's our world. That's what we love. We want to help the people who help people. And we love just the mindset. We love these industries because there's an easier way to make a buck than plumbing and HVAC and restoration, all the other ones out there. But there's no better way to help somebody than in their biggest time of need. And so to help the people that help people is outstanding. We provide business coaching as well as professional training.
I love it because often the people, especially in these trades, it's a thankless business.
It is.
They're dirty jobs and people really forget about them. I recently had to have a water heater replaced, and it was a referral from a good friend of mine that I'd heard, she just raved about this gentleman. God bless him. He's 75 years old, but he's still going strong. And he really, he didn't want to take it on because he was so busy, but he knew I was in dire straits, came out, replaced my water heater, did a fantastic job at a really fair price. And it was so funny. We got into talking about modern marketing and where things were going and digital marketing and AI. And he said, well, I keep telling my grandkids and my friends and their kids that encourage your kids to go into the trades. And I said, well, yeah, you're preaching to the choir here. I keep telling I've got triplet sons, stepsons, and it's like, kids, really consider going into the trades. And they're like, ew, no. And one, it's a needed job. It's an essential job. The one thing you're not going to have when you're 35 and still living with mom is college debt. You're going to be making a great living wage when you're in your 30s and your 40s. And I don't know if you ever remember that book, The Millionaire Next Door. And it talked about that the millionaire next door are the plumbers, the HVAC guys, the appliance repairmen.
Yeah.
And it's the electricians, the master electricians. And it's so true because these people, the people that are listening, you are in demand and there's fewer and fewer of you to go around. And so I just want to say, as the Doo Diva, thank you. I honor you. I appreciate you. You guys are my superhero.
Oh,
because
it's
you
awesome.
do the
Such good
things that
industries.
other people can't do and don't want to do. And we
Yeah.
wouldn't get to enjoy the lifestyle that we do in this country without the skilled trades, the hard
100%.
working skilled trades. So
And where
love
these
you.
industries are at now is if you go and you do the apprenticeships and you get the certification and the education, everything you need to do, and you get a couple of years under your belt and you're good at it and you like it, it's a pretty good chance the company that you're working for is going to be for sale. Because a lot of these owners have reached a point in their life where they're okay, it's time to phase out, it's time to find a successor. And a lot of them, they don't have family members that want to take it over. And so you can go from having no college debt and making an awful lot of money and owning your business very, very quickly, rather than going to college and everything that goes with that, just for the experience of going out and hanging with your buddies and feeling like you accomplished something instead of actually accomplishing something.
Wow. I love that. And so that's a perfect segue what you're saying about, you get bit by that entrepreneurial bug. And I'm going to go into the trades. And now I am a skilled trades business owner. And I'm in a metropolitan area where let's just say I'm in Phoenix. And I'm just going to pick a number. I mean, maybe there's more. And I've got 150 competitors of
Mhm.
all people that work across the valley that do exactly what I do.
Yeah.
How am I possibly going to not just survive,
Right.
but thrive in such a competitive environment to make a good living for this trade that I've invested so much of my personal time and my sweat equity in learning how to be good at. And we already know the answer, drum roll here. It's that branding and differentiation.
It
And
is.
I often ask people, so what is branding? And in my classes, when I speak on the wet stage, I get so many different answers as to what is branding and why it matters so much.
Mhm.
And it's now going to matter in a different way and in a different form than we
Yeah.
ever dreamed possible. You can judge how many years I've been doing this, by the snow on the roof, but I am just seeing, as a marketing person, I am seeing almost daily shifts
Mhm.
in the way that we have to market ourselves and put ourselves out there to stay competitive in this industry. And you and
Yeah.
I were talking offline. We're all getting on that bandwagon of the AI buzz. But there was something that you said that I really want to talk about. And this may be scary for
Mhm.
some to hear, but I think we need to be prepared for it and we need to be aware. And that is where things are going as far as the internet and search engines
Yeah.
and pay per click and ads and AI.
Mhm.
And I just want you to share what you see is going to be something that businesses, especially, skilled trades, most of you are probably family owned and operated. Maybe you have several branches and, maybe you've got, some of these skilled trades businesses have hundreds of employees, but they're still privately held companies. They're still entrepreneurs. What do they need to be prepared for and what is coming?
Yeah, so the phone book's not around anymore because the internet replaced that. So
Right.
we know what this looks like. You either live through it or you've got enough common sense to understand what that was like. And you have another one that's happening, and it's already started happening. And that is going to be the difference when it comes to marketing online versus where we're going to go here, not too distant future. And I'm going to use the example I talked about in one of the previous podcasts was the garbage disposal. I had to replace a garbage disposal. I hadn't bought one in 15 years. So what I did is I went on Google and I typed in different types of garbage disposals. And I spent about half an hour, 45 minutes. And what Google is very good at is taking you somewhere where the information is housed for you to go find it. And it's been
Mm-hmm.
the best possible way we could do it for years. And when I got done, I went into Chat GPT and I typed in buying a garbage disposal. And you know what it did? Gave me all of the information I needed in about 2 seconds in one page. It didn't take me to where the information was and said, go find that. It gave me the information. And right now, AI is the way it was described to me by somebody much, much smarter who actually helped build Microsoft Copilot, is it's basically taught at a preschool or an elementary level. That's where AI is right now. There is no actual intelligence in artificial intelligence. Let's be clear about that one. It is not the Terminator. It's not going to take over the world. It can't. There's no possible way. But all it does is mathematically try and figure out what is most likely the next possible word in the sentence. That's how AI works. And it does these types of calculations that none of us can do in a million years,
Right.
and it does trillions of them in a second to be able to do it. And it's very good at it, but it's still only at an elementary school level. And within a couple of years, it's going to be at an MBA level. And that is going to be a whole different thing because it still can't create the Terminator. But what it can do is manage and control and do a lot of the repetitive tasks that take place in your business. So from a sales and marketing, where it's at right now is you can create value-added materials using it very, very quickly. If you go, hey, I want to be able to get this idea out to a customer real quick that would help them. So if you go call on someone, there's only two reasons to ever call on somebody. So that you can provide them information that's going to help them make more money, or you're going to provide them information that's going to help them provide a better service to their customer. And if you're not doing either of those two things, don't go into their office because they don't want to see you. They'll give you the sale if you can demonstrate you can do those two things. And so if I walk in there with a value-added material that's going to help them with either one of those things, it'll take me forever to create it. But I can prompt AI and it will give it to me in 2 minutes. All I got to do is cut and paste it and make it all look real pretty. Now there's AIs out there. You don't have to cut and paste. It'll generate the whole thing for you. And it'll do it for free if you learn how to prompt the thing correctly. So the direction is going to go there to where we're not going to be using Google much longer to go do browsing search. Google's going to turn into its own AI. It's why it's spending billions of dollars every year on NVIDIA chips. That piece is going to completely change, and you're no longer going to say, find me a garbage disposal. You're going to only be able to search brand. If you want to stand out, you've got to create a brand. You've got to give somebody a reason to look for you specifically. And we don't all have Disney's budget to create the Disney brand.
Right.
So, but you're also not marketing the entire world. So you're marketing within your community. So when it gets into branding, it is go back to your core values. You want to create your brand, go back to your core values. What does, and everybody's got the same three core values: honesty, integrity, and customer service. Okay, great. What does that mean to you specifically versus the guy down the street who you think's a crook but probably isn't? And how do we build the brand around that piece? And that's what we live out every single day in our marketing, in our actions, in our decisions, because that has the long-term lasting impact of who we are, what we are, and why we do what we do that will resonate with people. And then take that for a spin and you'd be amazed how much more cost effective it is and how much more overall effective that piece is.
And then we talk, with branding, and also I see even more so, we talked in the prior episode of going onto plumbing websites, and you look at 5 of them, and they, other than the colors, company colors, you can't tell the difference between one to the next because they're all selling the same thing. They're all looking very cookie cutter.
Yeah.
You need to differentiate yourself, and you also need to be willing. I think this is something that it can be a real game changer for companies, is how do you create that trust and set yourself apart with a differentiator that is so daring, that is so outside the box of what your competition would, that they would be afraid to do it, but you're not, because you're fearless. We all know you're fearless warriors out there, but that the customer would stand up and take notice. Now, I know that your company does a lot of work within the restoration business market. And I'll just attest to this because this came across. My partner does work with a roof. One of his clients is a roofing company. And one of the things that comes across with some skilled trades, especially, and I would think damage, because insurance is going to be involved. Roofing, insurance is going to be involved. Flood, insurance is going to be involved. Okay, I'm going to hire this contractor. I'm going to get my insurance money. I'm going to give him the money. And then he's never going to show up. It is a true and real fear with a lot of skilled trade businesses. And we talked about, oh, they're going to show up at my house. They're going to make a mess. They're not going to hold to their, all the different nightmares. Okay.
Yeah.
What would you, as a skilled trade business, be willing to put on the line? Okay.
I love that.
Here's the guarantee. I'm just throwing this out there because somebody shared it with me. This is a true roofing company. We will not take a dime of your insurance money until the materials are delivered at your house. And even then, we'll only take half, and we will not take the other half until we've completed the job to your satisfaction. Well, guess what? That's an automatic trust builder. You've just removed all the fear, all the nightmares of the what ifs in my head. You've just removed all the risk. You've assumed the risk, okay, as the business owner. But you know what? If you're ethical and you're skilled and you do a good job and you know what you're doing, making a promise like that, you shouldn't have anything to worry about.
Yeah. 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 You're right. And that's it. That is a true differentiator because most of your customers can't or won't. Maybe they can't bankroll that, or they just flat out, I'm not going to do that. I want my cash and I don't trust the customer. And if you don't trust the customer, how's the customer ever going to trust you?
Right.
So I think people have to understand what true differentiators are because everybody's going to use the same ones. My differentiator is we provide the best customer service in our area. Well, I've never met a contractor who came to me and said they provided average customer service. And I'll
It's
ask this
those
question.
cliche. It's those awful cliche things that they all say, and you're going, oh, tell me something I don't know.
And this is the best part is, okay, maybe your customer service is great, but maybe it's great based off of this criteria. None of that criteria is important to me. So while your customer service meets your level of what you're looking for, and hopefully it does, and I'm sure it doesn't mean mine because I'm looking for something completely different that you might not think about.
That. Yeah.
And if you don't ask the question ahead of time of what does good customer service look like to you, then how am I providing the best customer service? I'm providing the best customer service I can based on what I perceive your needs to be. And that's not the way it works. Their perception is your reality. So customer service is great, but explain that and explain that in a way that resonates with me. The other one is I've got clean trucks and I've got great equipment and my guys are all fully trained. Folks, we all drive the same trucks. We all use the same equipment. We all go the same training classes, meeting the exact same standards. Where's your differentiator? And be honest, your customer has no idea what any of these training classes are or what that means. So I'm locally owned. Okay, which one of your competitors isn't? Even the big franchises, they're still locally owned. And if that just means you have a house in the zip code, I don't care. But if you can demonstrate to me that you not only sponsor a youth baseball team, but you donated $4,000 so that they could have equipment. Okay, well, that means something to me. Now you're part of the community. Or you did this for big brother, big sister, or I've got a client who's bought several police dogs, paid for the police dogs to get trained and be part of that. That's somebody who does care about the community. And you get a little bit of a kickback, you get a little bit of recognition about it, but you're also aiding and helping the community. So if you're going to tell me you're locally owned, tell me what that means to you, because I don't buy what you do. I buy what you do it. And if you show me that the community matters and that you truly are a neighbor and not just somebody who has a house 3 cities down, now I want to talk to you. Now there's a little bit more trust that takes place. So when we look at what differentiators are, it's not a thing, it's a why. And so what are you willing to do and able to do that your competitors simply can't or won't? And then how do we describe that in a way that resonates with your customers? And the best way to find that out is simply to ask them. Go get a panel, invite a bunch of people out for lunch, buy a bunch of coffees, and ask them, what does this mean to you? What are you looking for? If you were to open up a plumbing business tomorrow, what would you offer that nobody else does? It's a great question to ask on a commercial account. If you were to open up a plumbing business tomorrow, what would you offer that none of the providers you have right now are willing to do? Now you learned a differentiator that matters to them. Now, are you willing and able to do it? I don't know. You make that decision. It's your business. But now you have information in order to make a decision.
And when it comes to the consumer, I often like to ask, any customer or prospect that decides to come onto the line with me, well, what made you want to jump on a call today? And it's a
Hmm.
great question, just like what made you, of all the people that you probably saw online, what made you decide to call us out today? What was it? Maybe it's something as simple as, well, it was the lowest price, but we all hate that because selling on
If I'm not
prices
raising my prices.
race to that bottom. We hate that. But maybe it was you were the only one that actually had a person that picked up the phone.
Yeah.
It could be something also like, well, you were the only firm that could get someone out here within 24 hours to do this.
Yeah.
Simple things like that, to have the technicians or yourself, if you're a sole practitioner, to always be asking why they chose you.
Yeah.
And
That
if
one of
it's
the
a
most,
repeat customer, why did you come back again? And start remembering that. And I always tell folks, we carry these with us 24/7. Most of us keep it next to our bed at night. It's kind of sick the way it's gotten. Whoever
yeah,
thought that it
there's
would
an addiction to it.
ever really
Yep.
come to this. But every time we're out on a job, that is an opportunity to get a customer testimonial if they're happy,
Mhm.
and ask them, hey, if this goes well and you're happy, would you be willing to tell me about your experience? It doesn't have to be what I call James Cameron level production. This isn't Avatar, this isn't, the Titanic. It's Mrs. Jones. Tell us about your experience calling out ABC Plumbing today.
Mhm.
She's going to give you that. You post that on your website, you post that on your social feeds. That becomes the social proof. You can tell everybody how great you are all day long, but you can attest to this. When it's your customer telling everybody else how great you are, that's that human element. We trust hearing it from a person.
Yeah. Referral is 4 times more likely to sign with you than a cold call. And they're so easy to get. If your technician does not have a card in their wallet with a QR code that the customer, you show them the QR code and they can zap it right there, right in front of them. And there are software programs, there's a dozen of these things and they're dirt
Right.
cheap and they can go in. The problem with leading Google reviews is it takes a long time to do it. But there are actual ways to shortcut that. And you can create a little QR code, then you and hire one of these companies again for dirt cheap, and they'll get the testimonial immediately and they'll get it put all over the place. And all it is a push of a button. And all it is simply asking, hey, if you appreciated the work we did, would you mind giving me a quick review? They zap the QR code and you give the customer a little bit of privacy. And that should be on every single job. Then you got to decide if you're going to, compensate the employee and all of that, and that's your decision. But that's every single job that's on the checklist before you leave. You pull that card out, they zap the QR code, and that's done because that referral is part of the trust that goes back to having the internet in your pocket. And it's not about likability anymore. It's all about trustability. Easiest place to create that is reviews.
Well, it's funny that you would say that with compensation, because we were just, many of us were at the Wet Show, and I
Mhm.
stayed at the West, and it was my first experience there. And the desk clerk, after she checked me in, gave me a card with her name on the back with a QR code. And she said, I would really appreciate it if you'd give a review of your experience this evening. And if you name my name, she said, it gives me a bonus in my paycheck and it helps me when it comes to my performance review with my boss.
Mhm.
And she did it in such a nice way. And she was so sweet and she was so helpful. I said, oh, I'd be happy to.
You're paid to do it. Yeah.
And
It's a
so
psychological effect.
what I
Yeah.
found out was that every time they get a name, Weston, if it's a positive review and they name that person's name, they get a $10 bonus in their paycheck on that next
Nice.
paycheck, and they
Nice.
track it. Talk about an incentive to ask for the reviews about the experience.
Yeah. So then it is a psychological effect that we're wired to do. It's called Ben Franklin effect. And it goes back to Ben Franklin being in France trying to raise money during the revolution. The way that he would build trust with people is he would ask for small favors. And if you ask for a small favor, it gets people to start to trust you more because I'm trusting you that you would do this favor for me. So now
There
there's
you
reciprocal
go.
people that are going to come back and try and repair or do the favor back to you. It's why when you go buy a car, the first thing they want to do is give you a free bottle of water. You're statistically more likely to buy a car if you take that bottle of water. They know that. They're not cared about your hydration. So by this person asking that favor of, can you help me out? You are wired to want to do it because now you creates even additional trust that has taken place. And yeah, I'll give you 30 seconds of my time if that helps you out. You know why? Because you just helped me out because you unclogged my drain.
There you
It's a
go.
perfect setup, and everybody should be doing this.
And that becomes a brand differentiator. You
Mhm.
get all those reviews. Again, you were saying that the referrals and a testimonial from a customer is better than any bragging or any Google AdWord that you're going to pay for.
Done marketing for 20 years. I cannot create a billboard that'll get you any near the amount of business for 30 times the cost. Is just doing that on every single sales call.
Yeah. Well, this is a great place to close. And I hope that for those of you who have been listening to this series, have picked up some tips in, regards to sales and marketing and budget and staffing. And we just covered a whole host of subjects. And for those of you who are interested in maybe connecting with Jeff, maybe on LinkedIn, or learning more about what Violand does for the trades industry, how can they learn more, Jeff?
Yeah, the best place to do it is violand.com, Violand, V as in Victor. All the information's on there. If you want to give us a call, and I'm a big fan of actual communication taking place between two people, because again, people sell to people, human beings to human beings. 330-352-0610.
All
Easiest way
right.
to get a hold of me. And just love to have a conversation. We're big on not selling you. I'm not going to sit here and try and sell you a single thing. I'm going to ask you a million questions, get to understand your business, and then answer any questions that you have. And if I can help you, great. And if I can point you to somebody else who's going to be a better service for you, I'll do that as well, because that means you're going to trust me, that I have your interest in heart. So when you do need my services, let's talk then. So it's just about having conversations. That's what we like to do.
I love it. Well, thank you again for spending so much time and helping us develop this series. And for those of you who are tuning in, we're going to be doing a few more in this series with other members of the consulting team at Violand. So stay tuned and keep an eye out for that by subscribing to the podcast and the newsletter so you'll know when that's coming up. And again, thank you for sharing your time with me today, listeners. And until next time, keep it flowing. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If you're ready to take your marketing to the next level and start increasing sales and opportunities for your business, reach out to us at Creative Raven. We're here to help you thrive in the digital landscape. Visit creativeraven.com or click the link in the show notes below to schedule a call and learn how we can support your growth. If you enjoyed the insights on today's episode, be sure to hit subscribe so you'll never miss an update. Until next time, keep growing and keep it flowing.